Hello and welcome to today's video. If you're new here, my name is Brandy and this channel is all about horses, and what I've been doing is, since this coronavirus is affecting everyone, I am doing a live video Monday through Friday, and I am posting videos on the weekend as well. So today I'm going to be riding Nika Western. I already have her groomed. I just trimmed her feet, and I'm so excited because I always love when I can get a full round off like this. So she was very good for her trim. So this video is much later than usual today, and I apologize for that, but it was the only time I could fit it in. So today so far I've been homeschooling my kids, fixing fence, feeding horses, all kinds of stuff. So watering my arena. Oh my gosh, it's just been such a busy day. So I am going to go ahead and get her saddled up and we'll ride. Okay, and for those of you who are new here, just to give you a little background on Nika, I rode her 2 days ago with the saddle on. Before that, I rode her in like September maybe, a little bit over the summer, just bareback with her foal trailing along behind. And this is the very first day that she's been in my arena by herself without her foal. So she hasn't even been tied for probably over a year. So this is all kind of new stuff all over again. And Nika she'll be 20 in May, and we've had her since she was a yearling. So she's a little grouchy right now. She's been tied here for about 2 hours, just because I've been doing all kinds of stuff. So, oh, I see we got our first super chat. Thank you very much. I'll take a peek at that in a minute. So let's see, who is that? Lucy, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. So this saddle is a McCall Lady Wade, and I had it customized to fit me and the majority of my horses. Okay. Oh, and we have somebody else that super chatted. Oh my gosh. You guys are awesome. I'm going to scroll back and see if I can find it. Edie, thank you. I really appreciate that. That's awesome. So I'm going to go ahead and take you guys out into the arena. Now, Nika has been here. Like I said, she's been here for about 2 hours. But with feeding horses and moving things around and fixing fence and everything I've been doing, you know, this is the first time she's been tied in a year, like I said. So she's, you know, she's annoyed. She's just a little bit annoyed. And if you notice, there's not another little golden butt around here either. So this is the very first time she has ever been taken away from her foal. Besides all of the work I've been doing over the last 8 months, keeping them separated during the day in their stalls while they eat their grain, those little things that I've done every day are building up to this, because now she's not with Manzer, and this isn't bad. So I'm not worried about how much she's moving around at all. So I'm reading a couple of the comments, and you know what, guys? They're going too fast. I'm not going to be able to answer any of them right now. And I'm pretty anxious to just get her out in the arena and get on. I can't wait to ride. I'm so excited to ride right now. Today I'm going to ride Nika in my hackamore. So some people know this as a Boselle. And I've got a horsehair Makati on here. So this is what I'm going to ride her in today. When I rode her 2 days ago, I used a snaffle bit, but I'm going to go back to this and use that. So Manzer, if somebody just asked, I think, if Manzer's calling. Haven't heard a single peep out of him. She hasn't said a word either. So, but like I said, they're used to being separated every day for their grain and such. So, and now Nika also, she's not the most patient horse in the world as it is, but you think about it, it's been an entire year since she's had to do anything. So I'm pretty pleased with how she's being. And notice how when I start fussing with her, she immediately stands. She knows. What are you snorting at? She's looking at the hay bag over here. It's flipped open, and she's looking at it like, what in the world is going on with that? That's not the way it should be. Horses are just funny like that. Okay, so now I got to take you guys out into the arena with me. I'm going to take my flag because I think I'm going to do a little bit of work with Nakona as well. So let's take Nika out into the arena, and you guys can come with me. All right, let's go. Here's where that whole, like, having a camera guy would be really handy. Back and forth and back and forth. Okay, and a freshly watered arena, so it won't look like it's snowing in here today. So that's good. All right, bear with me while I make my adjustments and move my camera. The nice thing to Nika is she knows to just come with me and stand there. Hi Rex, how you doing today? Okay. I'm gonna have a little shelf put in this corner. I think that would make things really nice. And you guys don't have to hear me wrestling around with things all the time. Okay, can you move your butt, Nika, so I can see if the camera's in the right spot? Okay, I think we're golden here. Ta-da! All right. Now we're going to get bridled up here. Now today, like I said, I'm using a Tack more. Now I've not had this on her in a really long time. I know, honey. She's like, I'm so distracted. This is so different. I haven't done this in so long. Now, as you notice today, I put the halter around her neck instead of taking it off after the bridle is on. This is just a little bit different. And so, let's see, like right there, I'm going to bring her forward and I'll do it again. We have ants in our pants. It's so hard to think. So hard to think. So hard. That's okay. I'm a mama. I know what it's like. So I'm just going to wait. You see how she pushed her nose down in there for me? That's what I want. But you just gotta be patient and wait for them. I do not expect her to have any patience today. You know, that would be asking too much of her. My expectations are very low for today. I did ride her 2 days ago. My live stream, the same day that I rode Nellie. So if you want to watch that at all, it's fine. And I have Manzer in here too. You're excited. You certainly are excited, eh? Gosh, I haven't even used this since last fall. I love it. I don't like it to touch the dirt though. I try very hard to keep it out of the dirt. I think we need to adjust that up a little bit. No. Can you bring your head down, please? Thank you. That's lovely. I'm not having it. I didn't have this on a shaper over the winter, so it's not as rounded out down here as I'd like it to be. Like I said, I haven't used it at all, but okay. I'm gonna go and walk her around a little bit, do a little bit more groundwork, and then I'll hop on and go for a little ride. Any questions before I get started here? Looks like we got 100 people watching. Oh no, Kona's just standing in the other room. She is just standing there resting a foot. She's not even moving. No, Nika is, oh sure, I say that and now she just moved. No, Nika is, like I said, this is her first time away from her baby. She's been saddled one time in a year, 2 years actually, 2 years, 2 years she's been saddled one time. There's a lot going on here. This is a big deal for her. And when I rode her the other day, there were a whole pile of horses in here with her too. This is the first time she's been alone in a year. So that's a big deal, okay? So, have I started the weaning process? Yes, she's been, he's down in the other barn. I brought him in for his grain and he's just been hanging all down there. And so, you know, like I said, this is all new. She could dump me off today. You know, it could happen. There's a lot happening. There's so much happening. And if you're a mom, you kind of understand, like, being away from your kid for the first time is a big deal. So, but this is very different, you know, this is very different from just the daily separating from him and that sort of stuff. So I'm just going to try to be as compassionate as I can about all that stuff. And keep in mind that her brain is not here, and that's okay. Manzer's birthday is May 11th. Okay, so I'm going to take my girl for a little walk, and then I'll hop on and take her a ride. If you were with me here the other day, I was talking about work ethic with a couple of different horses, and I think I was on Petra, and I had Nakona and Annabelle in here, and I was talking about their work ethic and how certain horses have a really strong work ethic, certain ones don't. Nika has a very strong work ethic. She is just such an awesome partner, and she puts in a gazillion %, basically. But I want you to watch, as I'm walking around with her, I never, ever, ever have to pull on this horse to get her to stay with me. She always stays right with me, and she's pretty good about not trying to get ahead of me, although sometimes I do have to kind of reel her back in and be like, hey, pay attention. But anyway, so like Nakona, I'm always feeling like I'm dragging her everywhere, and Nika is very willing to stay up with me. All this fussing around and stuff that she's doing, she still has to have manners. Manners are absolutely required regardless of anything. So she's got to have manners. But I understand that she's distracted, but she still has to have manners. So I'm not going to let her get away with all that kind of stuff, okay? If she's fussing around, I'm not going to let her step on me or anything like that. I'm just going to put her feet to work, okay? So I have to treat her I treat them the same regardless of what's going on. I understand why she's being the way she's being, though. So I'd never get frustrated or anything like that with her. So she wants to do the right thing. She's just emotionally, she's like, oh, this is a lot for me to handle. So watch as I walk her around how she kind of stays up with me. Now, you may have heard me talk in the past about neoprene cinches and girths and how I've had horses get worried about them. And this horse is one. I always used a neoprene cinch on her, and oh my gosh, did she, they just frightened her. They just straight up made her very worried, because what was happening is they pulled a hair. So it got her to where she's never been a horse to be crabby, ever. But, so she wasn't crabby with me, but she would get real worried. She'd shake her head a little bit, and she would also like kind of rock back and forth, like, out, this does not feel right, I don't like it. And since I've been using a mohair cinch on her, I have not had any issues with that. Occasionally she'll get kind of like almost worried, like she's afraid it's gonna hurt again, and then she realizes, oh, this doesn't hurt. But it takes a long time for those things to go away. But so yeah, she's an excellent example. I would never take this horse and just cinch her up real tight. That would just scare the bejesus out of her. So, and I encourage everybody else to be thoughtful about that kind of stuff too, because with horses, so many people just, they tighten up their cinch or their girth right away, all the way. And it just really will bother a horse. So we don't want to, we want to think about that. I always tighten it, 2-3 times at least before I get on. I don't want to do it all up at once. I let it sit there. Unless I'm starting a colt, and then you got to get the bugger done up as quick as possible, because if that horse takes off, you need to make sure that your saddle is going to stay with them. So. something that I think is super important since we've got so many people who are like anti-bit and everything else. So right there, what I was just doing, did you see how she backed up most of the way across the arena? I wasn't asking her to back up at all. I was simply asking for her to laterally tip her nose to the side, okay? Like that right there, without the feet moving. But I just wanted a lateral movement like that. That's all I was asking for. Just tip your nose. But with any kind of a bridle, in my opinion, anything that doesn't have a bit, the communication can be a little bit vague. So, for instance, she felt pressure in a couple of spots on her face. So she's thinking, I'll just back up because I feel pressure, so I should back up. My body did not say back up. My body said, we're just standing here and I just want you to tip your nose to the side. But, again, you know, like she's had a lot of time off. So, and she's distracted and everything else. So we've got a lot of tuning up to do. But, so where I'm going is, the next time I ride her, I'll probably put the snaffle back on her because we've got to work on a few little details where horses can get super confused. If this horse that I've been riding for 17 years just got confused over me asking her to tip her nose to the side with a setup like this on, imagine what more green horses or more beginner riders, imagine the confusion that would take place with that. So this horse has been ridden in this bridle a lot, and she's really sensitive to what I ask of her. But clearly there was some confusion, okay? So I just thought I'd point that out. I'm going to work on that a little bit more. But all I ask for is just to tip her nose to the side. I don't want her feet to move. I just want her to tip her head from side to side. I'll work on that a little bit. And she really wants to move her feet, and I don't blame her. So I'm going to give her things to do that'll let her move her feet. I don't want to trap her, but I do need to get her to bend laterally as well. So I'll work on it a little and do something else, and then I'll come back to it kind of thing. I'm going to work on that lateral movement. Just ever so slightly. Good. See, now it makes sense. She's like, oh, that's what you meant. But just that little bit of confusion makes a huge difference. And same thing here, just a little. Good. Now, back to talking about that confusion. I do not have good flexion to the left at all. And she's kind of leaning into the left. To the right, she's going to do a lot better because she bends to the right a lot better. So I'm going to have a much nicer canter to the right than I did to the left. So she actually even broke her canter because it got so out of balance because she was leaning in on me. I don't want her to lean at all. I want her to lift herself up, but she's got to bend in order to canter properly and carry me. it's so fun to think about all the work that I've done, what she's retained well, what I really need work on. And another thing that's kind of cool is since I rode her, like really rode her last, I've changed a lot. So she's changed a lot and I've changed a lot. She's changed a lot in the sense that now she's had a baby, so everything about her body's totally different. And again, if you're a mom, you understand that. And I think about the first time I rode a horse after having my first, how different everything was. And so I think about that kind of stuff. But it just really, riding her really shows me that, oh, you know, she doesn't understand this very much either. Or, my gosh, Nicona's so much better at this or that. But then there's things that Nika's so much better at. So it's kind of fun to be able to compare. This is a horse that I rode a lot. For 17 years, I rode this horse, or I've been riding her for 17 years, but, you know, there was many years out of there that I rode her, I mean, primarily. You know, I rode this horse every day and did a lot, traveled all over with this horse and did some really cool stuff. And, you know, she's a barrel racing horse. That was her job. And she's very much a, let's go, busy, like a busybody anyway. But, again, she's super distracted, you know, and she could hear her colt calling for her from the other barn. And, you know, I want you to just really think about that. Think about the first day a mare is weaned from her colt and just being able to go for the first ride in a couple years. You know, it's super cool. It's super cool to think about that. She's just such a sensible horse, so sensible and such a good girl. And it really does make me feel good, too, about the way that I have gone about it so far and just doing that little bit of separating every day, so it's no big deal. I just don't want to have to deal with any of those big stressors. Like, I feel like Bear and Annabelle especially, they've had a lot of, like, get off me. They've had a lot of, like, stress in their life as far as the weaning process. I don't know anything about it. I honestly don't know. I just have a hunch from the way that they are about certain things that it's in the way that they were weaned as to why they are the way they are. So it's just my thought. But so I don't ever want to have to deal with that. So I want to do it a certain way. My goodness, I know. I think I need to move your feet a little bit. They're fun to back up. But I hope you guys could see, though, what I'm talking about with having, you know, this bridle. This is a more advanced bridle. I want your shoulder over. Thank you. And a lot of people are like, oh my gosh, bits are so bad, they're so mean. Well, if I'd had a snaffle bit on her, she wouldn't have been confused over a couple of things I was asking of her, okay? So where I think that's really important. I don't want to confuse my horse. But people love to argue about it, and they like to tell you how mean it is and how bad it is. And I'm like, well, here's the proof right here. Why don't you show me? But it's a lot of times, like there's a gal that was I won't argue about it, period. I just won't. A fact is a fact, and what works for one person, you know, might not work for another, and that's fine. But this gal was talking about how abusive it is for me to have a bit in my horse's mouth. And I'm like, well, how many horses have you ridden? How many people have you taught to ride? You know, it's just like, what kind of experience do they have? Typically, the people that are very against bits, not open-minded, I want to say. Okay, so if you're open-minded to understanding how things work and get it, and if you have some experience, it's a little different, because a lot of the people who are talking so badly about bits probably don't have a ton of experience with more advanced type stuff or multiple horses. So that's great that you can ride your one horse that you've ever ridden and been riding for 15 years down the trail and get everything you want to accomplish done in a halter. That's great. So, but it's going to be really difficult for you to get these more advanced maneuvers done without confusing your horse. I'm not saying it can't be done. You know, I can take my horse to town and get all my groceries. It's going to take me a while, but it can be done. But for me, I'd rather take the car because I'm a little bit more efficient. Does that make sense? So it's going to be a lot less confusing for my horse and more efficient if I use a snaffle bit versus if I try to start her and do everything, all the finishing work, in something that applies pressure in a couple more areas. And even just riding a halter, they feel pressure in different spots on their face. A snaffle bit is direct pressure right on the corner of their mouth. If you've got good hands, you know how to use a snaffle bit, the horse should only feel the pressure in the corner of the mouth. But my goal, like I said, this is what I rode her in before. And it's what I primarily ride Nika in when I ride her Western. The only reason I don't use this when I ride bareback is because of the Makati. It's kind of cumbersome having this. So I like to be able to drape it over my horn. So riding Nika halter is fine. But again, I can't get the advanced stuff that I want to work on in a halter. So just doing this simple little exercise here is helping soften her up, let her know, get over. You do it. This is good. It's a nice stretch for her. It's a good cool down, but I don't want her forward. I know, not forward. Thank you. Come back over here. As you can see, she's following the feel of that rope. She's not just. Girl. She really wanted to say something back, and she didn't. That was Bear that was talking out there, but Nika whinnied, and then Bear did too. But this is how, when my horse is distracted and I'm at an event or something, this kind of stuff is what I do to work on getting their brain. So when I say groundwork, this is what I'm doing for groundwork. I'm just simply moving her back and forth. And I'm asking her, okay, now move your front, now move your hind, now move everything together. Now move back and come forward. Okay, here I go again. I want her to stay relatively even. I don't want just the front end to lead. I want everything to just kind of move over together. Good girl. Good girl. That was nice and soft that time. You did good. So, okay, well, there we go. There's my ride. Does anybody have any questions? Now I'll just let her stand here, and if she gets real fidgety again, I'll go back to doing the same thing. But I'm going to let her soak on everything we just did. So she gets to just chill out, relax. I see her looking. She's like, I know my boy's over that way. I'm sure he is. And if she starts calling, I'll just go right back to moving her feet back and forth. I'm not going to get after her. I'm not upset. Nothing like that. It's just... I'm going to move her feet a little bit. It just gets her so she just kind of tunes in a little bit more. There. Look at that licking and chewing. That's really nice. There we go. Over there again. This side wasn't as good anyway, so I'll move her over. And I got the tail of this that I can use just to help her out if she needs it. I want more of your hind, less of the front. Move back, get on my face. And you just soak right there. But I always like to let my horse just sit. Just sit there and think about it. Trying to find a good spot to stand so you guys can see her. You can see she wants to move forward, so I'm going to let her know. Back up. I want to just be able to jiggle this rope to have her back up. But if she doesn't respond to that, I can give it a little bump. But look at that. That's nice. if it only lasts 3 seconds, that's okay. Oh, there's Vander calling. It's okay, we just work through this. Let's back up a little bit. This is why I love having a Makati rein, is I can do so much groundwork with my horse with the bridle still on. Because how many times have you gotten off your horse and been like, oh shoot, I wish I could, you know, they're a little goofy or something, you want to be able to do some groundwork. Okay, let's go this way one more time, and then I'm going to put her halter on. I don't think horses are worked on enough of just moving off of our leg, and something like this, you know, I'm working on moving her off my leg when I'm doing that exercise. I'm going to put the halter back on around her neck again so I can take her hackamore off. See her open her mouth like she had a bit on. So this ride was, there's a lot of fumbling that went on and stuff, but it'll get smoother as we go, and she's going to be less and less concerned about Manzer because, you know, now that he's separated from her, it's going to be a little different. I'm pretty happy with that. Okay, let's go back in the other room and I'm going to get her unsaddled. And I don't know if the chat's not working or not, or maybe just nobody's there. Looks like people are there. I don't know. But I don't know if the chat's working because I'm not seeing anything. Maybe y'all are just listening. Who knows? Oh, somebody. Hi, Missy. Hi, Tracy. Okay. So yeah, I'm sorry guys that I didn't ride Nika yesterday. It just didn't work out. If you saw yesterday's video, I watched it afterwards and I'm like, oh my gosh, what a mess. Everything yesterday was just like, oh, just a mess. You guys have those days? Seriously, it was like everything I touched, I just screwed up, period. Except for Manzer. He had a really great work session. So that was awesome. And Nakona's just standing here, so nice. All right, I'm just gonna start unpacking her and putting things away. Nika never poops when I ride her. She always poops right after, though. It's just kind of a thing for her. Since I just watered the arena, I'm not going to turn her out to roll because she'll be a great big old mess. So I'm just going to run a brush over her real quick. Okay. Oops. All right, so I'm going to just sit here for a second, answer some questions. And how's Annabelle doing? Annabelle's doing great. Annabelle's awesome. I love Annabelle. Yeah, she is losing baby weight, and she's, if anything, she's getting a little on the thin side for me. Nika's always been a horse she's always been a little bit ribby, but she's more, you know, some people look at a horse and they're like, oh my gosh, that horse is thin, where really it's just like race fit or like an athletic looking horse. She's always been athletic looking, where, you know, her belly's real kind of tucked up and you can always just barely see her rib cage, regardless of how much she's been fed in her life. That's just kind of how she is. So, oh my goodness, Nakona. You know, Nakona's protesting the fact that she doesn't have food. She's like, not fair. But you know what? She'll be fine. And then there's Nika. So here's the two different kinds of horses. So Nika will have food in front of her face, not touch it. And then there's Nakona, who, if she's got like any food in front of her face, she's always got to be eating it. So that's how she is. But just two different horses. Hi, kitty. Hello, come here. Two different types of horses, and you know, it'll make you crazy because it's like one will be a hard keeper and you try so hard to put weight on them and it's super difficult, and then another one will be such an easy keeper and you can't get the weight off of them. But for me, honestly, I think I'd rather have, I don't know, like a hard keeper is, hold on, I just found something on the cat. I think it's just a big mat. But it's too early for wood ticks. But anyway, I don't know, it's hard because like with Nakona, she's such an easy keeper, and it's like I always feel like I'm just not getting, oh my goodness, I'm not getting anywhere with her. Where with a hard keeper, you know, at least they can go out and have some stamina to them, it seems like. You know, like Nakona, she just burns out so quick, but she's so heavy. So, oh, Beck, you've already found wood ticks. That is terrible. It was terrible. Well, hopefully my chickens just start eating all of them. So, any questions about anything that you saw so far today? What I'm going to do next is I'm going to go out and I'm going to put Manzer out in the paddock with Bear because he's in a stall right now. And then that way when I walk Nika down, she won't see Manzer in the stall. He'll be in the paddock. And there's a massive snowbank still there, so I don't think it'll be a big deal. So Manzer's fine. He's just hanging out in the stall. So he didn't care at all. And I videoed earlier today too, so you guys can kind of see what I'm doing. So Manzer and Nika are separated as of today. So So we'll see how that goes. Hopefully, I couldn't find my fence tester, so hopefully my fence is hot, but there's really, you know, can't really go too far, so I'm not really concerned about it. But, and I think, sorry about that, my husband just tried calling. So, yeah, I'm not touching it to see if it's hot or not. There's no way. I don't know that it is. We have so much fence down all over that it's probably not hot anymore, so. But Nika's got to go down, get her grain, so she'll be happy about that. Manzer will be turned out with beer, and I'll be out several times to check on them. How old is Manzer now? Manzer is 11 months. He will be a year old on the 11th of May. So, Monica, we don't have grass. We have no grass yet, so I can't do that. But, yeah, so Manzer's almost a year old, and I'm pretty happy with the fact that he was able to stay with her this long out with the herd. And I wanted to wait a little bit longer just because I have an area set up for him that I wanted to be able to move him into. I don't really want to put him where he's going. I wanted to be able to move him further away, but oh well, not much I can do about it. So I just really don't want him deciding that he's going to breed any of the mares. So I don't think that he can yet, but it's definitely not unheard of, so. Oh, Nika. My goodness. So. Aw, Shul, that's exciting. So, what will I do with them overnight? Bear's gonna be with Manzer and Nika's gonna be with the herd. So, yeah, that's just kind of how it's gonna go. This cat's loving it. Oh my goodness, girls. That one's saying, I want food, and this one's saying, come on, I wanna get out, I wanna go out. So she'll settle down after I get everything cleaned up, and I'll wait until she's quiet, and then I'll take her out and give her her grain. So, but I'm really happy with our ride. I thought that went pretty well. I got plenty of things to work on, and it'll be fun to get her back into the swing of things. Yeah, and you know, this behavior that you're seeing out of her too, though, she is a very impatient horse. So she likes to move. She likes to move, and doesn't like to hang around for too long. So she's like, come on, let's go. Let's move on to the next thing. But she's kind of a direct reflection of me. And think about it, you know, I rode her all through my 20s, and I wasn't the most patient person. I wanted to just go. Let's just go get something done. And so I kind of created that a little bit. It's just, it is what it is, and I have to accept that. And I know it. See, I just missed what is the biggest change I felt in riding Nika from before she had Manzer? So I don't really like her butt that close to me because she's probably going to poop. That somebody's going to be like, oh my gosh, it's so dangerous that you're sitting behind your horse. So the biggest change is just the stiffness in her, just really stiffness. And someone else just asked if I'm going to put Lucky with the two boys, and no, I'm not putting Lucky out there because Lucky went through the fence today. He has zero respect for fencing at all. How much you want to bet she's going to poop? But Lucky has no respect for fencing, and so he just went right through it earlier. And he's the type, too, he'll just kind of duck his head, and he'll just run through it. He's like that with Gates, too. He's an opportunistic. But that's the last thing I want is for Lucky going through the fence and then teaching Manzer to do that or something. So that's not something I need. So not until I make sure that that wire is hot is Lucky going out there. I'd like Lucky to be out there because it'll be good to have all three of the boys out there so they can play and do their thing. So, yep, she can hear Manzer calling, so, but he's been in a stall for quite a while. I got to go put him out. But all right, guys, well, I'm going to go and put, hi, Lottie, how are you doing tonight? Doesn't she have a gorgeous bum? She has a very nice bum. It doesn't have any muscle on it right now though. She's usually so muscular, and it's really weird to see her with that bit of a belly and just really lacking all of her muscle, because she's usually so like ripped looking. I love it. So, all right, well, I'm gonna get these guys out, and then I'm gonna go and eat pizza. So I will see you guys tomorrow. Thank you so much for joining me. And to those of you who super chatted, thank you so much. We made $34 today. And I really, really appreciate that. All right, guys, I will see you tomorrow. Bye.